All right, three, two, one. Adam, welcome to the call. How are you, mate?
Very good. Thanks, Leon. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for jumping in. It's always an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Introduce yourself a little bit to the audience. Who are you? What do you do? And why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, sweet. No worries. So, yeah, my name is Adam. Obviously, I run an email and SMS marketing agency. Been doing this for the past year and 8 months. So, in the grander scheme of things, like fairly new to it. I'm in self-mastered. I think it's 5 months now, Leon. Back in
Hmm.
November, I believe.
Hmm.
And like, look, like the one thing the one analogy I give about self-mastered and like since I joined is it's almost like self-mastered is like the tissue against the window that's foggy, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So like the
Hmm.
window's foggy, self-mastered is being kind of that tissue, to kind of make everything a bit more clear. Hopefully that's making sense. But
Hmm. It
like
is.
the
It is. You're actually like cleaning the filter of your mind so
yeah,
you can see
yeah,
clearly and actually execute and perform. But
yeah.
again, this is the real work that drives the difference. Well, why do you come to us? So it was, maybe lack of focus, lack of productivity. What problems were you willing to solve?
I don't think yeah it was a lack of focus and productivity for sure, because I think before I joined I was fairly scattered. um like, oh, we have a lead gen problem, I'll get distracted by that, and then we'll have another problem here and I'm getting distracted by that. But since I've joined, I've kind of noticed that like solving things sequentially is probably the best way of doing that. So that's helped me a lot. It's such a simple thing, but that's just helped me so much. Like as we were saying previously, Leon, like I was talking to you about the lead gen bottleneck we were running into, and you're just saying like just solve that first and don't really worry about anything else. That's more or less what you were saying. And like the difference even that alone has made is phenomenal. And yeah, it's fantastic. But oh, I forget, I was going to say something there now, but I forgot what it was.
We're
But
talking
we'll come
about
back.
why did you join? So why did you approach Selfmastered?
Yeah,
Because, how did you realize that your
yeah, yeah.
performance could improve?
Like I think there was probably a massive gap in my knowledge in terms of performance and
Mhm.
performing while working. I knew that there was probably more, like a lot more gas in the tank, actually. I was only operating at like 20-30%, if even.
Mhm.
Like it almost feels like a bit of a cheat code getting access to some of this information, you know? It's like you've kind of you've compiled stuff from so many different places and just put it in a systematic way.
Mhm.
Um, like the funny thing is, like some of this stuff, people like you probably like I knew of like meditating, of visualizing, of thinking about things systematically before, but like I didn't know how to implement all that things in a way which can make you perform at your best. So yeah, that's kind of why I joined. I just knew there was a lot more gas in the tank. Obviously, of course, I've seen you pop up a lot on Twitter, a lot of people vouching for you as well. So I said, look, let's just dive in. It's probably going to be a no-brainer, which it has been so far.
Love it, love it. So, and what did you get? Because again, from the outside in, you're not clear on exactly what you're going to be getting. Is it training? Is it coaching? Is it mastermind? What does have peak performance institute actually mean? What did
Yeah.
you get, and how did that help you?
One thing I've definitely gotten from it is accountability in a sense, because I remember joining the first call and I was just kind of thinking to myself like, oh my God, like these guys in here are operators. And it like that alone tries to like you want to up your game straight away, of
Mhm.
course, from that alone. But other than that, like the content is just phenomenal. As you said to me when we first started, there's no fluff. And like me being a bit of a skeptic, I was like, every like most courses have a bit of fluff, but like there is literally zero. It's so much more in depth than I would have imagined. And bear in mind, like I'm still not finished the complete course either. I still have a bit left.
Yeah.
But like what I've seen so far is just phenomenal stuff. Yeah.
Well, that is my promise to you, right? Your time is very valuable. You have a team. We're going to get at that in a minute. So I have to make sure that everything that I tell you is really straight to the point, no fluff whatsoever, and very actionable. And how
Yeah,
has your, productivity kind of evolved? How many times are you feel more productive? Do you use the tool to track that? And how does that correlate to revenue? Can you share that?
yeah,
And also team members, like, because you mentioned that the team had expanded, which is great.
yeah, yeah. So just to answer your last question, team has expanded by another two people. But just to go back to the previous one in terms of productivity, if I were to guess, I actually have it written down somewhere, but if I'm just guessing off the top of my head, I'd say I was probably only getting really 2 hours of true focus time a day. I would say two or three, but now I'm getting about four or six 4 on like a not so good day. And it could even be above that as well on
Yeah.
other days. Um, but like pure just like boxed off time just to work on the like highest leverage things in the business. So like I don't know what the math is there, but it's like staggeringly increased productivity massively, and it's not like it's not just down to like ring fencing and stuff, like even just down to like little hacks that you've been teaching me about, like meditating before work block, visualizing even the work block, visualizing the work you're going to do, like that alone is just it's worth its weight in gold, to be honest.
It's one of our
Yeah,
hacks and secrets, right?
yeah. There's all these little nuggets of gold dust that you pick up as well, between obviously the course content itself.
Got it. Cool. And has that had any effect on revenue?
Yeah, so it's doubled since I first
Double
joined.
revenue, not bad at all. I mean, but this
Yeah.
is interesting because you double. So in terms of you double your focus hours, in order to calculate productivity, we should look into how many more high leverage activities are you doing and correlate that, right? So productivity is
Mm.
way more than double, but we will
Yeah.
have to calculate that. But just by doubling the amount of focus hours, you can double your business, which is to us is one of the thesis of everything that we do is like, hey, if you become better, and how do we define better? We define better through productivity and flow states, high leverage versus and focus. Your business is going to grow. It's simple math, right?
Sounds, yeah.
Which I'm very happy to see that it has worked. And out of everything that we teach you, because again, it goes very deep, and we have scored every, research papers, everything that they tell the Navy SEALs and astronauts and all these crazy guys, how they can stay focused, control, calm, and collected, even under extreme pressure. Of all of the things that we have trained you to do, and you're consistently deploying your day to day, what would you say it is one or two things that have made the most difference?
I'd say two that may be slightly correlated, but like thinking about things systematically and looking at the replay.
Oh,
Looking at the replay has probably been that's the biggest learning I've taken away so far, to be honest.
mhm.
Like thinking of yourself as an athlete, and that translates obviously into your personal life, going to the gym, exercise, nutrition, etc., and seeing how that all feeds into the system of your business as well. Something I kind of didn't really take much notice of before. Of course, you do hear people saying that like of course your personal life does correlate into your business life, but like it's actually putting that stuff into practice
Mhm.
is the difference. So yeah, anyway, just going back to looking at the replay, like for me sitting down at the end of the week, looking at kind of inconsistencies in work and then trying to make subtle adjustments then for the week, for the next week. So it's just that kind of compounding improvements week over week by looking at the replay. And by looking at the replay, I just mean looking at how many focus hours am I getting in each day? Where am I getting distracted? What tasks are distracting me the most? What are the highest leverage tasks to be spending my time on? So yeah.
You're an athlete, right? This is exactly, you're looking at the game tape of the day,
Mm.
every single day and every single week in order to become better. As I say, you're not one funnel away, but you're an X amount of iterations away of your current system, whatever that system is, for your marketing, for your sales, for your product, to get a result, right? So the more you look at the replay, the more feedback loops you incorporate in your day to day, the faster you will improve. For
Yeah,
instance, it's
and that
never
was
about 10,000 hours, it's about
yeah.
10,000 iterations on the same thing.
That's something I just did not realize before as well. Like I used to do like weekly reviews and stuff, but like not to the extent
Mhm.
of what I'm doing now. Knowing what I know now.
Yeah, because I would argue that you'd lack the systematic understanding of the
Mm.
universe that we provide, right?
Yeah.
You can do something, but if you don't really understand what is the core root of it, why would
Yeah.
that work for you, right? Now that you understand that every effect has a cause, and every cause is another system's effect, you see everything is correlated, everything is systematic, so you can, basically tweak the systems of your life. And this is extremely powerful because this removes self-doubt. It's like, hey, how can I
Mm.
get what I want? What is the system I need to create in order to get what I want? Awesome, dude.
Exactly.
And this is affect everything in your life, right? It's not only business, it's, personal relationship, your personal development, your health, anything.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Like yeah, it's not just business. It's everything outside of that as well. I feel like I have a lot more clarity just outside of business in relationships, family, exercise, nutrition, everything. And just seeing how that feeds into everything. Um, so yeah.
Dude, excited. Has anyone noticed on the team or, friends,
Yeah,
family?
yeah,
Are you like most
yeah.
switch on?
Yeah, yeah. Family members, friends. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Like, what happened to you?
The one thing actually is probably just being like that I've gotten feedback on is being less stressed and more calm. Um, like running a business can be stressful. And that I probably wasn't managing that to the best extent prior to Self-Mastered. So that's been one thing that I've heard from
I
friends
mean,
and family.
we've literally taught you the most advanced protocols for mental management, right? There's nothing more advanced than the things that we share with you. So now you have all the tools to remove stress and reframe and use that selective attention to navigate pressure. You now have the tools to basically become inevitable. This is interesting. I'm reading right now. So I watched an interview yesterday and I'm reading today because I bought the book on the spot about a CEO called Bradley Jacobs. He
Yeah.
has built $7 billion companies. Not bad. And it's very interesting because most of what he discusses in the book, especially the first third, is what he calls rearranging the brain, which is how
Mm.
he calls he says rearranging the brain, but really is the way he discusses it has to do with how to train your mind. Is basically using psychotherapy and cognitive behavioral therapy to understand yourself as the observer of your thoughts and your emotions and select those that really drive progress and discard, accept, let go, and discard the things that don't. So here you see, as a guy that has created $7 billion companies, devoting a third of the book to the things that we are training you to do, right? This is literally the cheat code because this allows you to see reality for what it is, not for what you want it to be, because you understand how things work and you can tweak the systems. I get excited about this because, one more billionaire says, hey, this is a thing that really helped me. No
Yeah,
wonder.
like there's only so much technical skills you can learn, I suppose, and we all obviously, if you're running a business for a certain time, it's likely that you have a high technical ability. It's the performance skills, is the gap between person X and person Y. Something I never paid attention to that before.
But
Like,
now
just
you do. Most people don't, which this is the opportunity, right? Most people think that in order to scale the business, they need to know more about marketing.
yeah,
Probably not. Probably already know enough marketing, enough sales to scale to the moon. The problem is that, you cannot be disciplined, focused, consistent enough, looking at the replay, making effective decisions without getting stressed, without being overwhelmed, burnout. That is, as you mentioned, the gap. That is the thing that people don't get, which is why those that get it like you will eventually crush them, right? It is inevitable.
and like the exciting thing is, well, like I feel like I've only touched the tip of the iceberg so far because, like, 5 months, yeah, it's a long time, but like there's still a lot to learn as well and a lot of iterations to go through in the systems that I've built since joining.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm really excited about. Using what I learned, and putting that in place and improving that month over month over month.
Exactly. And see, when you train your team in seeing the world in the same way, and you create the systems for the team to execute at the level you need them to execute, that is when magic happens. Because you can have mini you, so mini elite performers
Mm,
working on their strengths with systems, right? So your business basically scales itself. That is very exciting.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
So to finalize, who would you say this is for? What kind of entrepreneur? If someone is watching this,
Yeah.
what would you tell them?
Well, it kind of comes into this, like, really, if you want to grow your business and you want to increase your revenue and you want to increase your productivity, it's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. And as well, like, just have your mindset as sharp as a tack as well. If that's what you're looking for, like that program, like this program is definitely for that person. But 100% would absolutely recommend it. Like, I was a bit like, I wouldn't say I was skeptical, to be honest, at the start, but like, you're a bit iffy. But this is by far been the best thing that I've invested in. When it comes to the business, actually, like not even the business, personally speaking as well, outside of business, because it has affected my personal life. So probably being the best investment so far, and as well, just to remind whoever's watching this that, like, I still haven't finished the course yet in full. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Dude,
um,
that means a lot. That means a lot because we really pride ourselves
true.
in the product.
No, it's true. It's true. And what you're building is fantastic. I just think, like, it's a shame that there's some people out there who have have access to this information. As I was saying to you, it's like a
You know, people that might be competitors, but you're going to smoke them because
yeah,
you now know this. And the thing that I like the most about what I do is not only the product is good, which it is very good, but is the fact that you already have the keys, right? It's not
yeah,
like marketing that if I teach you Facebook ads, that is changing every 3 months, right? But if I teach you how to manage yourself, how to truly get in the zone, how to never doubt yourself, how to be disciplined, that is going to change the game for you forever, right? You already have the tools. Keep working, keep working, keep improving, keep elevating yourself. And this is how
exactly.
everything changes, right? So that is the cool thing. It's not, we don't need to, it's not Facebook. It's not a course that changes every 3 months. It is human nature. Master your human nature, master your life every time.
Exactly. The principles don't change. Like that's the thing.
Exactly. Cool. Well, then listen, thank you very much for jumping in, for sharing your story. It's been fantastic having you 5 months in the community. And now, mate, we need to create the next quarter together. Let's double again. Let's make sure that we can create the, solid systems that you can operate from above and really take yourself to the next level. So again, Adam, thank you very
Appreciate
much
it.
for jumping
Thank
in.
you very much. Cheers. Thank
Cheers, mate.
you.
Bye-bye.